Now, Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale present London Tonight, live from Surrey.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! Welcome to London Tonight on the road in Surrey with Mary Nightingale and Alistair Stewart. God save the Queen!
Thank you very much indeed for that absolutely wonderful welcome to London Tonight on the road. In case you hadn't spotted it, the clues are fairly clear. It has rained a little today, has it not?
It's almost London Tonight in the river, actually.
It is actually. Well, talking of that, in fact, the River Wey running through Surrey and indeed through here in Guildford did burst its banks earlier today. The waters washed across one of the high streets. The cars were a little troubled. Fortunately, not as bad as some of the stuff that we have seen, but it has been a little damp. Nevertheless, as I say, we are on the road, we're in Surrey, and we're here at the fabulous Guildford Castle.
Yeah, are we put off? Not a bit of it. We're in the garden with a host of guests, all of whom have special links with the county and indeed the county town, but that is by no means all, because we're going to be finding out what the connection is between nightmarish scenes like this and the space-age technology used in American amusement parks.
Plus, violin virtuoso Vanessa May is with us to talk about her new tour, starting right here in the southeast. And
Angus is here with the sport. What have you got for us?
A little bit later on I'll be here, Mary, and I'll be talking to the father of the man with the toughest job in English sport.
Good stuff. All of that still to come. In the meantime, Alistair.
every town is full of it, and everyone is absolutely sick of it. It is traffic congestion, and it is choking the roads and the streets right across the southeast. But interestingly enough, the answer to those problems may lie somewhere between England, America, and Germany, because believe it or not, the technology that we've often associated with science fiction movies may become the solution to the 21st century problems of commuters.
It can be really bad at rush hour, really bad. It can take a good 40 minutes to cross town.
Rush hour, it's murder. Same as any city you go to.
I work in London, I expect terrible traffic there, and I get it day after day. But for some reason, when I'm on my home patch in and around Guildford, I expect things to be better. But, of course, they're not. The congestion here is terrible too, so are the fumes. Sometimes you wish that somebody in authority would just get a hold of this problem and do something really revolutionary to solve it. Okay, so we're probably a century or so away from the three-dimensional traffic of sci-fi movies, but another high-tech solution to our jammed-up town centres is well within reach. A monorail for Guildford, styled on those running at Disney World in Florida, is being seriously considered by Surrey councillors. It will work on the already established principle of park and ride. You drive to an out-of-town car park, but pick up a monorail instead of a bus. A very high-tech solution for an old county town. Do you think it'd fit?
Yes, I do. I mean, we can't just look in the past all the time. We've got to look to the future. We've got to use technology. Traffic is a problem all over the southeast. Guildford's no exception. And we've got to use new technology to try and overcome those problems.
But park and ride in whatever form has its critics. After all, you still have to drive to the pickup point.
It draws traffic through the countryside, and traffic that can't go through the town centre, which will increasingly become the case, is going to find its way through rat runs, overloaded villages and unsuitable rural lanes, which is actually already happening.
Another solution may be a tramway like that operating in Guildford's twin town of Freiburg in Germany. Or perhaps the River Wey could help beat the jams with an expansion of this electrically powered boat service run by the National Trust. Not the quickest of options perhaps, but what a nice way to start the day. In Guildford, this is Paul Larsman for London Tonight.
A vision of the future. Well, one man who's got every reason to be interested in that, and indeed anything to do with Surrey, is the new High Sheriff, Richard Stilgo. Congratulations. What does it actually mean?
Well, being High Sheriff?
Yeah.
You're in charge of crime prevention in the county.
So in fact we're rather in favour of gridlock because it stops joyriding altogether.
I have to say, one bit of rain today in Guildford actually grinds to a halt, doesn't it? Not very impressive.
Totally. But a lot of other places do as well.
Yeah, I suppose the vision of the future would be to have someone who actually didn't go in cars and took another means of transport, perhaps.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Now look, this uniform, tell me about it. This is part of the job, is it?
Oh yes, this goes with the job. You have to turn up looking like a mole on its way to an Anne Summers party, really. It goes back to the 18th century, the uniform. The job goes back to about the 13th century, when the first High Sheriff of Surrey raised the army, collected all the taxes and did all sorts of grand things, which I'm not allowed to do, you understand.
How did you actually get picked for the job?
You have to be unemployed and have a big garden. Yeah, because you have to have a big garden party at some point. And you have to go around lots of schools, lots of places, talking to people.
Now, you've lived in Surrey for years. You were actually born here, weren't
I was
you?
born in Camberley, one side of the county. I now live the other side of the county in
Oxford, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's so special about Surrey? Because it is a very popular place to live, isn't it?
It is. It's nearly paradise. We have the lowest crime in Britain. We have the highest literacy in Britain. No accident that those two are connected. And, it is a good place to live. So, in a way, it's an awful place to live if you're poor or if you're unemployed or if you're miserable, because the contrast is very great.
And you've got one year of being High Sheriff, yes?
I've got 1 year to bring crime to a complete halt in Surrey.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks,
Richard.
Richard Stilgo announces the end of crime in Surrey within 12 months. But seriously, one of the great things about doing these programmes out on the road is that you get to visit parts of the country that you maybe didn't know quite so well. Actually, I know Surrey quite well because I spent part of my childhood just down the road in Farnham, but not everybody knows it so well, and we wanted to rectify that, and we wanted your help. Some of the most intriguing facts and figures about the great county of Surrey. So we asked you, and you did us proud.
A castle, a university, Guildford is Surrey's heart. But controversially, it isn't a city, even though it has a cathedral. The Queen refused a royal charter in the 70s.
But the town are not ready to give up. They may have another go to mark the new millennium. So, how about it this time, Ma'am?
Inshallah!
Fact 2. Woking has Britain's oldest mosque. An important international landmark of Muslim worship, it's 100 years old. Titanic, the blockbuster movie, has poignant significance for Godalming. The chief radio operator, John Phillips, went down with his ship, still sending out an SOS. An impressive memorial salutes the town's bravest son. Godalming was scene of one of the biggest cons ever. In 1726, Mary Toft claimed to have given birth to several rabbits. She fooled a couple of medical experts but was caught out by a London porter. Mary asked him to buy her several rabbits so that she could put on a show for the king. Also caught on the hop was James Payn. The bridge he designed at Chertsey was too short to span the river. The only answer to tag on an arch at each end. A case, it would seem, of a bridge not too far. Fact 6. Dorking has England's biggest vineyard. Denbies produces 500,000 bottles a year. Some visitors aim to consume it all on the premises. They've been producing wine around here since Roman times. I wonder how much a bottle of white was then. Some of that early wine was stored here in Dorking's secret caves. They're over 300 years old and go down more than 75 feet. Originally they were connected to the houses above and may have sheltered people from religious persecution. Who forgot to pay the light bill? Fact 8. Dennis is a popular name in Guildford. Fire engines sporting that name have been built here for 90 years. It's a business that's still going strong. Fact 9. Author Lewis Carroll died here in Guildford 100 years ago. His magical characters, Alice and the Mad Hatter, have enchanted generations of children and adults alike. And finally, fact 10. People here live longer than anywhere else in England. In fact, Alice here is 97. Now, nobody knows how they do it, what the secret is. Perhaps it's just magic.
Not a lot of people knew that, as Michael Caine would say. Well, with me is Matthew Alexander, who is the curator of Guildford Museum. What's your favourite little-known fact about Surrey?
Well, I'm not sure how many people know that Surrey had the first public railway in the world.
Not the North East?
No. It ran from Wandsworth to Croydon from 1802. That's the good news. The bad news is it was horse-drawn. And, of course, it wasn't long before the steam locomotive tended to make it obsolete.
But your great love is the castle.
Yes, absolutely, yes. It was begun here by William the Conqueror soon after 1066. The great keep here, dating from about 1180. And during the 1200s, it was one of the great royal palaces of England, but alas, fell into ruin afterwards. And since the 1880s, it's been run by Guildford Borough Council as a public garden.
And very fine it is. Thank you very much for having us. We've really enjoyed it, despite the rain, which is good for the garden. So it's good in everything. Now, we've got lots more for you still to come on this programme, including the great Vanessa May, violin virtuoso, she's with us, plus one of my favourite pop stars from the 60s, who used to be a drummer and is now more interested in making a mint from polo. So stay with us for all of that. But let's now pop back to London and to the newsroom and get the latest news from around the region from Lindsay Charlton.
Thanks, Alistair. 3 companies charged with negligence over the Bexley rail crash have pleaded guilty at a magistrates' court hearing. Local residents escaped injury when a freight train was derailed and shed its load on an industrial estate. The firms responsible for the damage will now have to pay compensation. The family of murdered London doctor Joan Francisco have met Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Paul Condon to demand the reopening of the case. They've already won a High Court ruling against their daughter's ex-boyfriend Tony Diedrich, who was blamed in a civil court for her death. Now they're pressing for criminal charges.
We are pleased that the Commissioner was able to meet with us, and he has reaffirmed the commitment of the Metropolitan Police to bring Joan's murderer to justice.
A Belgian lorry driver has been charged with careless driving after a crash on the M25 this morning, which led to a 10-mile tailback. At one point, traffic queues stretched back as far as the Dartford Tunnel. The woman driver of the car in the crash escaped with minor injuries. And finally, a South London climber is recovering today after succeeding in his attempt to become the youngest Briton to reach the top of Mount Everest. Edward Grills, seen here on the right, reached the summit of the world's tallest mountain in the early hours of this morning. The 23-year-old from Battersea has braved horrific weather conditions to earn his place in the record books. And that's it from me. Now it's back to Surrey and Mary.
Thanks, Lindsay. Welcome back to Guildford Castle in Surrey for the second of our special On the Road programmes. Now, our next guest has a very good reason for being here, because she starts the UK leg of her world tour just up the road in Croydon next week. Take a look. It's rather damp, but we're doing okay, aren't we?
Okay, it's chilly, but it's in keeping with the storm title of
I think it probably is, actually.
Yeah.
Let me do this umbrella this way so that you're under cover as well. Tell me, why Croydon? It doesn't seem a very kind of high-profile place to start your tour.
Well, it's going to be a 10-day tour of the UK, and we've already stormed places like South Africa, the deserts of Dubai, the Kremlin in Russia, all these really exciting places. But it's great to be back home in the United Kingdom, and it's a storming day, so I think that's a good... It's a good forecast.
It is a good forecast.
Really.
Now look, let me just ask you this, because you are still quite a controversial classical player, aren't you? A lot of people get very uptight about the sort of glamorous, slightly risque shots. What do you say to all those critics?
Well, I think that, you know, this is very much a pop tour, and when you come and see me, you'll expect contemporary pop modern music from the violin, from acid jazz to rock and roll to techno to a little bit of classical in the middle. But I think the clothes that I wear, the person that I am, just reflect my age, really. I'm 19, I'm going on 20 soon, but I think I'm just comfortable with the style of music that I play from the heart and the clothes I wear, really.
What are you going to do next? You're going to go into acting and singing, that sort of thing?
Writing more is something that I really, really enjoy doing. On the Storm album, I write a lot of the material with my producer, but at the same time, acting, people have asked me that all the time, and I would really like to do it, but only if it doesn't take too much time away from my violin.
I guess you have to concentrate on one thing at a time, don't you? Well, it's really nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on the programme, braving the weather.
That's okay.
Good luck with the tour.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, the man who began our programme is Guildford's town crier Dave Peters, a job that's been in his family since 1911. So what better person than Dave to take us into our commercial break. Dave, take it away.
Stay tuned for Oscar-nominated actress Splenda Blethyn, former England cricket supremo Mickey Stewart, and a big surprise for one of the presenters. God save the Queen!
Welcome back to London Tonight on the Road. Now, we're at Guildford Castle in Surrey, and what you can hear in the background is the Hazelmere Town Band, which is one of the oldest in the country, but would you believe it's actually under risk of its future? Now, Anna Robinson plays with the band, don't you? What's so special about your band?
I like our band because we get to play all over Surrey and play lots of different pieces of music.
And it's all children, isn't it?
Yeah, well, some adults are in it, but mostly children.
And it must be quite good fun to be part of, I would imagine.
It is very good fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. It would be very sad if it ended, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
All right, well, let's hope it doesn't. Well, I'll tell you what, these children feel so strongly about the band that they've actually committed their arguments to tape, and this is their video diary.
Get ready!
To towns that don't have bands, I'd say get one.
We're very proud of our Hazelmere Town Band. It was formed in 1837, and bringing in youngsters will guarantee the band will carry on forever.
We think there should be more opportunities for children to learn music. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I spend all my time trying to find extra opportunities for children at school. I think Surrey is a very lucky county because there are activities which are provided for children. For example, the Hazelmere Town Band, who get out and around Surrey playing an awful lot of the time, which provides you with lots of opportunities and provides the county with an awful lot of music to enjoy.
This is Lionel Bart, who wrote the music for Oliver. We love music. How do we get more people interested?
Well, just keep playing. If you're enthusiastic and you really want to do it and you're having a good time with it, that's very infectious and people will catch that. Music brings a lot of people together in the world. Your enthusiasm is going to help. Keep on in there, keep at them.
Wonderful that the youngsters feel so passionate about their music, and let's all hope that they stay that way, despite it being a particularly tough road to have chosen. Now, Surrey is also home to another hotbed of young talent, Guildford School of Acting, and Brenda Blethyn, who won a Golden Globe for her fantastic performance in Secrets and Lies, is a graduate, a patron, and is with me now. Thank you for joining us.
My
nice
pleasure.
Sitting here with the Bromleys, isn't it? What actually goes on at the school?
Oh, everything. They teach you all the technical skills you need to make it much easier to work in the theatre, in television and on film.
And that includes exercise, aerobics, stuff like that, as well as the voice?
Oh, physical and vocal, yeah, absolutely. In fact, they have an international reputation of having one of the best musical theatre course in the world.
Now, you've got the magic key in your hand, haven't you? Because you're also on what's called the auditions board. So what's that magic combination you're looking for in young folk who'd like to come to the school?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I love being on the selection panel. The disappointing thing is there are so many talented people who turn up there and don't have the means to sustain the course. They can't afford it because people don't get grants these days. Obviously, they've got to have talent, dedication, and, you know, the disappointing thing is there are so many have to be turned away.
Despite that, we've seen quite a number of really big names come out of there, apart from your good self, of course. Who else?
Oh, gosh, Michael Ball, Celia Imrie, Gabby Roslin, the wonderful Bill Nye. Oh, the list goes on.
And what are we going to see you in next?
Michael Caine. I did a film with Michael Caine called Little Voice that'll be out in the autumn. Made a film with John Hurt recently called Night Train in Dublin. I made that. I've made 5 films this year. So.
Wonderful. Busy as ever. Thank you for finding time for us. Lovely to see you again. Now, we're going to stick with the theatrical theme because literally just about half a mile from where we are is one of the country's greatest theatres, but you may not have heard of it before. It is the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre here in Guildford. The intriguing thing about it is that since the 1960s, it's put on some fantastic productions that do well here for the local people, but for the cast, even better, they transfer to the West End.
comedy and tragedy, the mystery, musical and ballet, they've all set the stage alight here. The Yvonne Arnaud opened its doors in 1965, named after a flamboyant local actress. Its first show starred the gorgeous Ingrid Bergman, and it's been the launchpad for scores of West End hits ever since.
The Yvonne Arnaud is a producing theatre. We create 8 or 9 new productions a year. We build them here, we costume them here. And we work with commercial producers, and they normally go to London.
The Hall of Fame reads like a who's who of the acting world. The biggest names have trod the boards here. So what's the attraction? Well, ask the stars. Things We Do for Love opened in Guildford before being transferred to the Gielgud on Shaftesbury Avenue.
The Yvonne Arnaud are incredibly warm and welcoming and supportive. I know actors tend to be effusive about everything, but they really are.
And then there are the theatre goers, a discerning bunch who are a vital litmus test for a play's success.
You show it to a Guildford audience, and I would imagine that you get a fair indication of whether it will go in the West End or not.
There are currently 5 Yvonne Arnaud productions running in the West End. That's a record for any regional theatre, but it can't afford to rest on its laurels. Keeping the theatre alive means a constant battle to persuade top-name directors, producers and stars to open here. Nevertheless, true to form, the summer season opens in July with a play already destined for the West End. At the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre, this is Ginny Parton for London Tonight.
Well, still plenty to come on the programme, but first here's sport, and Angus has got a couple of great guests, haven't you?
I have indeed, Mary. Now, how would you feel if your son was in the toughest job in English sport and always under attack? Well, this gentleman knows. He's Mickey Stewart, father of Alex Stewart, the new England cricket captain. It's a tough old job, Mickey.
Well, how do we feel? Very proud, all the Stewart family. Yeah, it is a tough job, but it's the highest honour in the game, and he'd be well pleased to do it, certainly.
And Alex certainly looking forward to it?
Yes, he will be, against the South Africans. It'll be a very interesting series since they come back into the fold. They're a very formidable unit. But if you weigh up the two sides, I would say that they're a bit better than we are on bowling, and we're a bit better than they are batting.
Now, he's a tough old character. How will he cope with the press pressure that he's going to get?
Well, he's been given the job probably because he's done 70-odd test matches or more. And he knows the form, and he won't let that side of it interfere with his game and what he's got to contribute to the England cricket side. The media part is very important. He'll handle that. But the most important part is what he's going to contribute both with bat and the way he captains the side.
And, well, you know, you were manager of the England side, so there's plenty of pressure, isn't there?
Yes, he knows all about that, plenty.
OK, let's move on from cricket to polo. And 20 years ago, he was the drummer of a small rock band called The Who, and now Kenny Jones has joined me here. And you've just started a polo club, haven't you?
Well, we've been going for 4 years, but we officially open it on the 7th of June, 2 weeks' time.
And why here?
Well, because Surrey is wonderful. It's the only club in Surrey now, so it's brilliant. You know, and it'll be the best in England.
I mean, is it big sport here in Surrey?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of polo players play it, and it's very good. And they're all from Guildford, so in this area, so it's quite popular.
And how difficult is it for you? I mean, ex-drummer, still, you drum better than you ride, or?
Oh, I still drum. I never give up. I mean, polo and riding and drumming and all that, it all goes along all at the same time for me. It's in my back garden, basically.
Excellent, Kenny. Hope it goes well. Thanks very much indeed to both of you. Now, over to Mary, who's with a strange man with a strange jumper.
Well, not so much strange. This is actually Ian Curry. He's from Coulston in Surrey, and he's been a weather enthusiast for the past 30 years. What's it going to be like tomorrow? Please say better, Ian, please.
It is. A little bit more sunshine. You could say that rain falls on the just or the unjust fella, but mainly on the just, because the unjust is made off with the just umbrella, and I could do one. 50 tonnes of water has fallen on the grounds here today. Very wet day. I can promise more sunshine tomorrow, but watch out for though, if in the sky you see cliffs and towers, it won't be long before there's some showers. There'll be some towering clouds, some showers tomorrow. Top temperature 17 Celsius, 63 Fahrenheit, so on the chilly side, but I can promise warmer weather by the weekend, so there is some good news in the wind.
I'm going to hold you to that, Ian. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure,
watch out, Martin Davis. Martin actually just tell us that it's going to be overcast to start with, sun and showers later, much like today. Alistair.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's almost all that we have time for this evening. But earlier in the programme, we told you 10 things that you didn't know about the wonderful county of Surrey. There's an 11th thing that you might not know about today. It's Mary's birthday. So here she comes. Happy birthday to you, darling.
Happy birthday to me,
And this wonderful cake was created by Jill Murray. Have you made cakes for lots of famous people?
Well, one or two in my time.
Name names.
Yeah, do I have to? Well, Sir Harry Seacombe and
Lives locally? Prince Charles?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. What's the oddest cake you've ever had to make?
Well, a collection of reconditioned aircraft parts for farnborough display.
Am I allowed to cut this?
You are, I think you are.
And where do I start? That's what I want to know.
Don't ruin it.
Anywhere. You have to push quite hard.
Let me just tell you while Mary is doing that tomorrow night we're back in the Drive studio, and then next Tuesday we are in Sevenoaks in Kent. But from Angus, from Mary, from Jill, and from all of us, good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Right, let's cut some of this cake then. Do you want to cut it, Jill?
Shall I do it? Yeah.
Hold the umbrella over it. Wow, look at that. It's unbelievable.